So I've carried out a review of the policies and documents presented by Currawah Aboriginal Education Centre. So firstly, the Director's Handbook has been done in great detail. It's clear that the AIS Governance Resource Manual has been used when this document was produced. So I've already mentioned the document goes into great detail and has followed the necessary guidelines set out in the manual, which are actually essential for registration of New South Wales non-government schools. So this is a really important document that they've done really well. They've included absolutely everything. Secondly, the Student Handbook was another document provided by the school. This is also a really good document and provides students and parents with necessary information prior to their start at the school. And finally, the third policy document is the Boarding Staff Handbook. This document goes into great detail about a range of matters, including student healthcare and bushfire emergency plans. So yeah, it covers a broad range of details. Document also includes some of the important outcomes that have been set out in the Aboriginal Education Policy, which is basically a policy that gives suggestions to schools that they should include to ensure Aboriginal students are getting the most out of their education. So this policy believes that all Aboriginal students have a right to an education. They should have the same opportunities all other students within Australia, so that they can reach their full potential, basically. The Aboriginal educational policy has been split up into 3 different priority areas. The first one is Aboriginal students, and then the second one is Aboriginal communities, and finally the third one is one called All Staff, Students and Schools. So in relation to the first priority area, Aboriginal students, the policy recommends basically that the curriculum, teaching and assessment programs all need to be challenging and culturally appropriate. So Currawah School has taken this into consideration because in the student handbook you can see that there's a section on what the students will be learning, and it says that all students will be engaging in the New South Wales curriculum, and therefore this means that they're going to be taking part in a variety of curriculum areas, so they're going to be receiving the same education that all students around Australia will be, which is important. The handbook also mentions that all of the subjects will be taught with reference to Aboriginal culture, which allows students to engage in culturally appropriate education, which is really important as well. Students will get the most out of it if they're applying it to their own culture and developing their identity through it. The Aboriginal Educational Policy also emphasises the importance of schools developing a supportive environment for the students. So Currawah's documents, in particular the Boarding Staff Handbook, constantly highlights the importance of staff providing support. It's constantly mentioning it throughout the whole handbook. And there's also a specific policy for students with special needs, which allows staff to carry out an inquiry when students arrive at the school, to basically identify the student's school and personal life. And this allows staff to develop a personal plan for those students that require additional support. So that's a really good idea. Health is another really important aspect set out by the Aboriginal Educational Plan. Healthcare is actually mentioned through the Student Handbook and in the Boarding Handbook. The Currawah Student Healthcare Policy states that all members of the school are responsible for the delivery of both health promotion and healthcare. And the school also has a really good, strong connection to the local health care service, where students can go and have checkups and be referred to specialists or whatever the necessary treatment is. So the other final two focus areas, Aboriginal communities and all staff and students, they haven't been mentioned that much throughout these three documents. However, it is mentioned in the student handbook that during their education, students have the opportunity to explore the local culture and language. So this means that the local community will be able to provide students with their cultural knowledge and expertise, and this will be recognised and valued by the students attending the school. I then went on to develop some recommendations for the school based on the Aboriginal education policy. So they may have already been implemented in school but just haven't mentioned in the documents. But the first one is that staff should have the opportunity to engage in professional development and learning about Aboriginal understandings before they start working there, or they do it as a yearly thing to keep on top of it. This will develop staff's understanding of Aboriginal cultures to ensure that they can ensure students can reach their full potential. Secondly, the school should introduce a welcome to country ceremony, which is used in government schools in New South Wales. These ceremonies occur at events so that both students and the community can understand that their culture is being respected and recognised, which is essential really for students to feel like they're in a safe and welcoming environment so they can thrive in that. Finally, the school should build a positive relationship with parents by involving them in their child's education. There's been loads of research to suggest that this is a very effective way to encourage better learning outcomes. And overall perspective, all three of the documents have been done to an exceptionally high standard. And finally, I'd like to thank Currawah Aboriginal Educational Centre for sharing their documents with me.